Welcome to Southeast Ohio Solar Haven. How y'all doing today? Long time no see this mug, huh? Well, anyway, today is a Q&A because everybody has questions and they want answers. So I'm going to try to answer some of the questions that I've been receiving in my comments to the best of my ability. Um, it's been crazy summer here. We've had wall to wall sunshine for the last month and a half, 2 months. Been running a lot off grid the whole time. Well, I've been running off grid the whole time pretty much, except, the big AC unit and probably 90% of the house. So that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Uh, but anyway, get to the list of questions here I wrote down. That way I could remember them all. Um, I've had a lot of questions here lately about people wondering where did you learn about all the solar stuff and wind stuff? Well, research. There are so many uh, pages, YouTube channels out there that you can learn from, uh, that you could actually get good information from, but tons of research actually. I have a background in electronics, of course. As you've seen in some of my videos, I've shown a few videos of a couple of TVs I repair. I do work on some amplifiers and stuff like that around. I don't use my electronics background as much as I should have in my lifetime, but I'm pretty privy about being able to fix items around the house. If something breaks, the wife says fix it, like the microwave oven, stuff like that, as I did a video on a few videos back. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I have an electronics background because I went to vocational school when I was younger in my high school years. I had a 2-year program at the local vocational school here, which the first year you learn basic fundamentals of electronics. You learn about Ohm's law and everything like that. You learn what a resistor or transistor is, or a diode, or anything to that matter. Plus, I had a stepfather that loved building ham radios. He was deep into it. He could build a ham radio, so I learned a lot from him too. The first year, like I said, we done the basic electronics, and then the second year was digital controls, or the digital part, where you learn a lot about the circuitry design. You learned a lot about computer stuff, the and or gates. You learned about PCB design, which is printed circuit board design, where you actually sit down, draw up a schematic, design whatever you're designing, and pray that it works. So yeah, that's where a lot of the background come from. Plus, I have I was in the military. I was in the United States Army. I had a communications background in there, because what my job in there was a multi-channel communication systems operator, which basically set up a radio station. We had to be able to work on the radios and repair them, fix transmitters, set up big microwave antennas, satellite dish link, stuff like that, and basically a big to do thing for communications. Like I say, he is in the rear with the gear. Well, I was communications set up, so that's the way it was there. And there were some other things I did in the military. But I have questions here about the big battery. BigBattery.com. The big batteries I bought. The 24 volt, 4.3 kilowatt hour batteries that are 170 amp hour. And I've had a lot of questions about those. And the biggest question that I had was did they test out the full capacity? Well, I only tested one battery when I first got the batteries last year. I believe it was September I got them. And I tested one battery, and it tested out to 172.3 amp hours. And I put the rest of them on a charger and charged them up to full capacity, and then connected them into my power system for my solar stuff. But something I noticed about these batteries was that Battery Evo, a parent company of Big Battery, from what I've researched and looked into, they have a 24 volt model on their website that looks exactly like the Hawk batteries from bigbattery.com. So to me, I think they're probably the same battery. And on Battery Evo, they advertise those as being 4.5 kilowatt hours. So I wonder if maybe that the Hawk battery was probably underrated. That way they would know that they would be at full capacity. Hence why I got 172.3 amp hour. Maybe they'll do more, I don't know. I've never really tested it down to, I think I tested it down to 23.5 volt, and then I stopped the test. All I know is I can respectively pull 25 kilowatt hours of power out of 7 of them, which technically is a 30 kilowatt hour bank, and I still have about 35% state of charge left. So they might go more. I've never tested them any deeper than that, because really I just don't want to abuse them. They're expensive, and you want to keep a hold of them as long as you can. I've also had the question about solar panels, about the angle. What angle should I set my solar panels at? Well, my solar panels here are set at 45-degree angle. Up north it might be a steeper angle. You go down south, the further south you go, because I live in Ohio, so the farther south you go, the angle might go less. It might be a 30-degree angle instead of a 60-degree angle up north. You can use an adjustable rack, but you're probably not going to gain much. I mean, I've seen where people said, oh, I've gained 10%, 5%. Well, here I don't have to really worry too much about, because I've got a completely open window of sun all day long. From when the sun comes up till the evening, my sun is all day long, so I don't really worry about it. If I had a solar tracking where the panels actually move with the sun, it would probably gain 30 to 40% more power. But excuse me, good Lord. I keep mine a 45-degree angle because I've tested over the years. The old place I lived at, I tested for 2 or 3 years. And I tested the winter angles, fall angles, spring angles, summer. I tested it with all. And I come to find out, even in the winter time, even though they say set your panels at almost a 70-degree angle, I always have found at 45 degrees it gave me the best power. And I don't understand that. I mean, they say do this and that, but it's always worked out at a single flat, one certain angle does it all for me. So depending on where you live, test your angles. You got to play with it a little bit. Once you play with it a little bit, you'll find out, well, I'm averaging really great about 50 degrees here. You might live in Michigan. It might be 50 degrees there. You don't know. Might be a 50-degree angle. Might be a 35-degree angle. Just depending on where you live. That's what it comes down to. I've also had questions about wire sizing. Well, wire sizing, once again, you got to go to Ohm's law. The distance traveled, you're going to have resistance in your wire. Do you want a 5%, 4%, 3%, whatever, 10% voltage drop? For my solar panels, I use a pair of 10-gauge wires. What I actually done on mine was I used an SOOW cord. Um, it's oil resistant, water resistant, but it's put through a big conduit pipe underground here. And I use 4 conductor SOOW 10 gauge cable. And they have black, green, white, and red. And I took the black and green and tied that together for my negative, and I used the red and white for the positive. Now it's 2 10 gauge wires per side, so technically it could be considered like a 7 or 8 gauge wire coming from my solar panels, and it's about a 100-foot run of wire. But my voltages, I think it's these around a point right here on this video. Right here is the 3 bigger panels. Those are the 315 watt Canadian solar panels. And I've got them wired in series, 3 in series, and it's about 130 volt. So it doesn't really bother it. It's carrying about 15 to 20 amps from them panels on that cord, and it runs just perfectly fine. The cord doesn't heat up. So yeah, it just depends on your wire sizing, that your distance, resistance, all that happy stuff you got to pay attention to. There is calculators out there online. Some of the calculators, I think, over calculate the wire size. So you just got to do a lot of testing with it and everything. The wire that I use is pure copper wire. It's not none of this oxygen free. Well, OFC cable is good, but you can use THWN, whatever, regular house electrical wire, and you can buy it Lowe's. You can buy it by the roll in an 8 gauge. That works great. I've seen a lot of setups use that coming from and off their solar panels. Inverters, when you're wiring up your battery bank, you want to have recommended sizes on your inverters. A lot of inverters, if you got a 4 kilowatt, 24 volt inverter, they recommend 1-aught, 2-aught, 1-aught or 2-aught wire, depending on what voltage you're at. I think mine was recommended for 1-aught cable for mine on my inverters, and I think I've got 2-aught on them, so it doesn't really heat up. It works great because you want the current carrying capacity for that. So yeah, wire sizing, you just got to pay attention to recommended specifications from the manufacturer for your inverters or for your charge controllers. Fusing or using DC breakers, that's a must. I use DC breakers out here behind my solar panels, and I use DC breakers downstairs in the basement with my power wall. Well, I guess it's a power wall. A bunch of charge controllers and some inverters and a bunch of wire. But yeah, and that's been about it. A lot of the questions, a lot of people's asked my background, but how do you know all that stuff? And like I said, I've had a couple years in electronic school. I actually did take about a year in broadcast technology in college because I was going to go into, at one point in time, I thought maybe I was going to go into working on radio transmitters, and stuff like that for TV stations and radio stations and things like that. And when I come back home, I thought, well, I try to get a job at a telephone company. Found out I was overqualified, and they didn't want to hire people that was overqualified back in the 80s. It was kind of weird. So yeah, I had to do my own thing and got into working construction work a lot and concrete, and tore myself up pretty good. So over the years, because of some of the things that I did in the military and went through, I ended up hurting my back and hurting. A lot of people don't know that, but you might be able to see a big scar going down my arm there. I busted my arm up pretty bad and screwed my elbow up and shoulder and ended up having real bad nerve damage in my arm and can't feel these 2 fingers sometimes. So yeah, that's a real pain in the rear end, and plus the back got messed up, and military, the VA kind of disabled me out and said you're done. So if anybody wonders, yes, I'm 100% disabled veteran. I just do what I can do, and I do it at a snail's pace sometimes, but I do get it done. And I do get friends and family or whatever that come over and help. Uh, Here shortly, we'll be doing a video on Bob. Bob's back in town. He'll probably be here for 2 or 3 months, maybe 4. I don't know. Um, he's got the solar panels on his bus now, so we'll have to go down there where he's staying at and do a flyover with the little drone I got and take a video of that and talk with Bob maybe one of these days here. But yeah, it's simple things. My solar thing here started out as a little hobby at one point. And, I thought, well, I wanted to check out solar. It started out as a little hobby, and then everything got bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, hey, I'm saving money on my power bill here. So I enjoy solar. It might not be what everybody likes to do, but I turn it into something that I enjoy doing because I like watching my electric bills decrease and not increase. Because right now the rates are increasing around here. So we got to watch ourselves on that. So. And be prepared for storms and stuff, because we do get some good storms here once in a while. But yeah, I hope I answered everybody's questions there. There was a few items I may have forgot, but I hope it helps out anybody. Especially on the big battery. I had a lot of questions about the big batteries, the Hawk batteries, so I wanted to get that out there and let everybody know. Yeah, they're testing out what they're supposed to be. So. Anyway, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to let you all go. Like I say, one of these corners there I'm pointing at, click on that like button down there. It'll only hurt once, I swear. Only once. It hurts, but, it might hurt, but, whatever. Click like and subscribe. And if you want to donate anything, go to the main page. There's a donate button on my YouTube page, whatever. Like I say, I'm not asking, just if you want, there it is. I've had people ask me about it, so there you go. Enjoy. Have a good day, ladies and gentlemen. And if you're on solar, stay charged up. Don't let your batteries go dead. Later.